did a little stint with Night Ranger too.
Down the road, yes, I sure did.
Yeah, so I guess was Brad Gillis gone and
No, Brad was not gone. Thank God, man. He was like
well, he had to leave for a while, and then
in the early days when he was doing Ozzy's thing.
Yeah, you're right, because Randy died.
Well, Night Ranger came in the mid-'90s, though.
Yeah,
didn't it?
well, no. Night Ranger was...
No, but when you played it...
When I did, yes.
Yes, when he played
they had already been through just about everything that could happen.
Was probably gone then.
Well, he was doing Damn Yankees.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in there.
So you got to play with Brad Gillis, though.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
He's a monster.
Oh, he's a monster.
Did you record... You didn't record an album, though, did you?
I did.
Did you really? I didn't know that.
That's what got me in it. Producer friend of mine named David Prater called me probably in '93, said, I'm working with Night Ranger. They're a trio now. It's Brad Gillis, it's Kelly Kagi, and they've got this incredible singer, bass player from California named Gary Moon. And good Lord, man, he had the voice of like a Chris Cornell.
No kidding.
I'm not kidding you. I mean, it was another world as far as what he did vocally. I mean, he could sing all the other stuff, and Brad was singing a lot too. So we had all those three guys singing, and what was happening was they were out playing their dates, and Prater had all their demos, and he said, man, help me arrange the stuff. They're out, and they want me to arrange the songs, and I'd like your help on it. So I got involved just on things like that, and then the next thing you know, they're starting to cut tracks, and again they'd go back out and play some gigs, and Dave would say, come on over, man, lay down some rhythm tracks, man. Brad said it was cool, and next thing I know, I'm laying down a bass track or two, and then next thing you know, they come back and they go, well, all that sounds good, let's keep what he did. And then when it's all said and done, and I'd played on just about everything, they said, let's take him on the road. I was like, okay. That's how that all worked out.
So tell us the juicy stories about being on the road with Night Ranger. Man. Come on now.
What year was this?
Okay, it was 94. By the time we went out, it was 94 and 95.
Okay.
Yeah.
There were still probably some backstage baddies looking for some Night Ranger action, don't you think?
Listen, man, they could do anything they wanted to, really. But our routine was so the same, and it actually was very, very cool, because it kind of keeps things from. You couldn't keep track of these guys. You could never be like what our crew chief and tour manager, is our den mother almost. He had to see over everything. But if it wasn't for the routine of like every day, pull into town about noon, go get the day rooms for the guys. We'd go stumble in and be gone for a while. Come back, somebody come pick us up at 4, take us to a radio interview. As soon as we finish that, take us to the sound check. After sound check, they'd either give us some money for food or they would have food for us. After that, go back to the day rooms, kind of get ready for the show. The runner comes back and gets you, takes you, you do the show. Everything's nuts for an hour after the show. Then you get back on the bus and you say goodbye to everybody. You got all kinds of bottles of booze because they just load you down. Every stop, they just replenish everything you got.
So the hookers on a different bus, or are they on the...
Well, they would find those occasionally at truck stops, and I'm not kidding you. I wasn't part of that, but that's a story. These are stories I heard.
Yeah, you're a good boy.
I was a good boy.
Sunday you got to go to church.
Yeah,
how long were you on tour with Night Ranger?
A year.
A year? Mm-hmm. So what happened after that? Did Night Ranger just fall apart?
Oh, well, what happened after that was Jack Blades was ready to come back. They were ready to... they had kind of gone through the Damn Yankees thing, and it was kind of like it looked pretty good. Because, man, that year we put in, I mean, we really worked our asses off, and we kind of got their name back out there more. I mean, as a trio and them starting back up. Think about it. That's a pretty good haul from like you peaked yourselves out, You ran yourselves into the ground with all that stuff we're talking about, all the trappings, all the women, and all the cocaine and all the booze. You've got it. You've either got to break up.
And then you hook
or
up with
quit.
Ted for a while, and he's supposedly clean as a whistle. But I imagine Ted probably wore out the damn Yankees before the damn Yankees wore out Ted.
Maybe so. I don't know, but by the time those guys were ready to say, let's get this trio back together, and we can't use Jeff. What was the other guitar player's name? I didn't work with him.
The blonde-headed guy.
The blonde-headed guy.
I got a phone in my pocket, and I could probably Google it. But yeah, he was an amazing guitarist
He
as well.
was. He was. But see, at the time, they didn't want him to go out with them.
Yeah.
Because they didn't think he was on the same page.
That's what made Night Ranger really pretty, special, is that they had these two almost equally, I guess you could say equally, shreddable guys.
Yeah, and the thing was with
and
me,
they would trade the leads and stuff like
they
that.
did,
Yeah.
and by the time I got in there, they weren't really trying to recreate that. They really were trying to have this cohesive 4-piece that sounded as big as their 5-piece.
Right.
I mean, when I was on stage, I had I was being sponsored by Crate Blue Voodoos, and I had a double stack, and then I had a Korg M1 in front of me, and a couple of acoustic guitars for our acoustic set. And I literally always had a guitar on, and I was always standing with the keyboard and the mic in front of me. And I was playing keyboard parts and rhythm parts, and when there was a double guitar part, I'd do that. But I was usually never out there with Brad trying to, like we were dueling or anything.
Yeah.
I was kind of like an all-purpose guy.
It wasn't Jeff Watson, was it?
Yeah. That was it, Jeff Watson.
Thanks to our producer guy in the background.
Yeah, he's got to
Got Matt
help us with
Mitchell
these
here in the
things.
background helping us
And
out.
I apologize to Jeff. I just didn't get to work with him.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, Brad.
I heard he was a good guy.
I did too. I heard nothing but good things.
You were telling us earlier off air about some stories, crazy road stories. You said you had a good one about Brad Gillis.
Oh yeah, I like Brad so much, man. He was so on every night. You think some people might have a bad night occasionally and just wouldn't be into it. Man, Brad's whole character was made to wake up at midday, eat a bowl of cornflakes, get a room. I mean, just everything about the way his life was structured. You could tell, man, it just worked so well for him. I don't know if he really loved it, but it looked like he did. Because, by the end of a gig, you got all these adoring people and fans and guitarists out there watching everything you do. And of course, he delivered every night.
Well, he had to deliver because, Ozzy called him up to fill in for the passing of Randy Rhoads, and he hit it without, basically without missing a date, hardly.
And that's what kind of leads me into this story. On the bus one night, I said, "Man, Brad, you went in and took over for an amazing guitar player, and of course you were the right guy for the job. But why was it that you never got your due from Ozzy? Why is it that he never talks about you?" He said, "Oh, man, I just didn't play into a lot of the things he used to like to do with Randy." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, man, I don't like people touching me and messing with me when I'm playing." I said, even if it's Ozzy? I mean, even if you've got that gig?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "I'd be into my solo, and Ozzy would be on the other side of the stage, and then I'd look up out of the corner of my eye, and I'd see him coming at me like a frog, leaping across the stage, and he would jump towards me, and as he's getting closer, I'm going, 'Oh God, he's almost here!' And then he would get to me and he would grab me and pick me up. And he said, I just would freeze, man. He said,
There's several photos of Randy getting picked up anyways by Ozzy. Those famous.
Yeah, those were famous. And so Ozzy would try to do the same thing with Brad, and Brad, I think, had to say, "Hey, Ozzy,
Don't touch me."
I'm not really good at that." And in a way, he offended him, I'm sure.
Really?
Yeah, that's the way it sounded to me. It wasn't any malice intended on either side, but you're the guy coming in right after Randy, and naturally, I could sort of see, guitar guys were always the thing that were inspirational to Ozzy, and you get a great guy like that, and I'm sure Ozzy just wanted to pick him up. God, Brad, I just want to hold you, man.
Well, Ozzy,
come on, let's go piss on the Alamo.
Ozzy was probably prone to certain sort of acts of impulsiveness.
Yeah.
Back then.
Anyway, that's what happened there, and it was insightful, because it always makes you wonder, why does Brad never really get talked about with a lot of reverence, and he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was he always kind of in his eyes? Was he known as like kind of the temporary guitar player for Ozzy at that time?
Before Jake Lee and
I think they really, all of that hit at the same time the Night Ranger record was coming out, and they were waiting on him to make a decision.
So he already had plans anyway, I guess.
Well, yeah, he could have gone and he could have done that gig, or he could have come back. And they were the way it sounded to me was it sounded like they were waiting on him to make his decision, or finish a tour and come back and let's get the Night Ranger record out or something. And fate kind of made it work out the way it did. Yeah. They had the record in the can.
Worked out great for everybody.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
So. Your video of the Smithereens cover, A Girl Like You with Deborah Jones is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
And Troy shot it and directed it.
Yeah, we had so much fun doing that.
How did you get hooked up with her, and how do you feel about the end product?
I thought you were going to say, how'd you get hooked up with that Troy Shaw guy?
No. Answer, that's two of them.
Oh, well, okay. Well, the first one, okay, I met Deborah through an internet songwriting contest.
Sure.
And a friend of mine worked for Roland Corporation, and I was buying some gear from him, and he said, "You know what we're doing?" He said, "We're putting together this thing with Mike Pender, the guy that played keyboards with the Moody Blues." He said, "It's going to be this big songwriter thing. We're calling it Song Wars, and Mike Pender's kind of like the guy that's starting all this, and we're going to sponsor it. And what we're looking for is we want some studios kind of around the country in different locations. So say somebody wins from the southern part of the U.S., would y'all be willing, meaning me and Ronnie over at Largemouth Recording Studio, would we donate time to a winner if it came from our geographic location?" We said, "Well, yeah, of course we would." So we got kind of tied into that. We got our logo, and they said, "Send me a bio." So I had a bio that was up there with everything having to do with Song Wars, and they would send me songs, and I would listen to them, and I would make my picks, and I would send my stuff in with all the other judges, and everybody was, all across the boards around the music business. There was different people, performers and people that had been in A&R and various things. That's all I know. We never all sat in a room together. We all submitted bios. We all got the songs. Well, Deborah had seen this, and she did not submit any songs through Song Wars, but she sent some songs out that I got to hear. And I liked them because they didn't have any production to them. They were just acoustic guitar and voice. You could really tell that she had a good voice.
Right.
Yeah. So I wanted to. I thought, man, this is way better than anything I'm hearing on Song Wars. Because see, on Song Wars, everybody at home with their laptop or computer, they were just overproducing stuff. So by the time you'd hear it, it had just so much crap.
Auto-tuned and whatever.
Oh,
right?
So much crap on there. So when I finally heard something that...
You couldn't hear if there was any true talent.
Really couldn't.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell. But with Deborah, it just kind of just jumped out, and I said, okay, this is good. So we wanted to work, and we started work. So we're a couple of years into it. We've been writing songs, and I brought up the name of Beau Hill, because he was an Airborne. He was a producer. He went on to produce a lot of people. When I... went to Texas and we all called the Airborne thing quits. The thing that was just so funny is Beau, and deservedly so, became a really, really successful producer. But the thing was, the Airborne sound found its way into a lot of the other things that he was doing, which was Rat and Warrant and Winger and any other band that ended in ER, It's almost... yeah. So our sound kind of morphed a little bit, but even though we didn't make it, boy, man, Bo was able to take a lot of that stuff, and with his skill set, he got really, really successful. So that's what he did during the latter part of the 80s, and I went back into live playing and stuff, Groove Kings. So by the time Deborah Jones and I meet up and we're working, well, I get a call from Bo, and he's been hearing all our stuff, and he was really, really always encouraging me to continue on and keep doing it. He said, man, you guys are getting close. So he calls one day, and Deborah had come in, and we're working on new stuff, and he says, man, I heard this song. He said, it made me think of something you guys could do. And I said, what's that? And he said, A Girl Like You, the Smithereens. I said, oh, man, I always loved that song.
So did I.
Yeah, we all loved it.
I have that CD. I bought it when it came out.
Yeah. Well, so Deborah, of course, being from England, I said, man, you'll never guess. Bo called, and he had a suggestion. And if we did this song, I said, man, wouldn't it be great to get him involved and let's do a song with Bo? She goes, well, what song is it? And I said, well, you remember that band, the Smithereens, Girl Like You? She goes, never ever heard of it. I thought, well, this is pretty much spells the end of this. So, but what we did was we listened to it a couple of times, all the way through. And she listened to it, and she goes, okay. Well, no, I never heard it. So we just kind of let it slide.
Let it sink in is what you did.
And it's what happened, because the next day she got up and she went to the YMCA and did a little workout. She was really big into that. She was doing her routine, and so she came back from that. She said, you know what song I could not get out of my head all morning long? I said, what was it? She goes, it was that song Bo told us we should do. She said, I think we should do it. And she was right. So I figured out an arrangement that I thought would work, and she sang the whole song. So when we sent it to Bo, he said, man, I need you to do some things on the vocals. And I said, well, but Deborah's gone. He said, well, let's do it this way. He said, let's do it to where you sing some lines and she sings some lines. Let's work it like that. So he kind of brought in all these things into play from the way we had to produce this.
Well, one day.
I'm okay still.
Okay.
We're drinking some beers, folks, and enjoying the hell out of them.
No,
as I tell these here little stories here about the music. But yeah, that's what happened. Bo was producing it by hearing tracks in our progress every day. I'd send him what we did. He would make a critique or two, or he would say, man, yeah, let's go with this, let's do this. And next thing you know, we have crafted an arrangement of that song.
It's a very, very professional recording, and Troy's video is great.
Oh,
remember
man,
when he was doing it, I just met Troy.
That's when we did On the Roof, right?
Yeah.
My friend, that was
it's
Daryl Huddleston's place, man.
It's great video.
God, we had so much fun.
In fact, we'll have a link to the video on the Facebook page. And
on the Facebook page of the website, we'll put a link to the video so people can take a look at it.
Fantastic. Well, we started sending it out, and really I expected that somebody was going to get it. And it's so funny, man. The guy that was the president of Rock Candy, he heard it, and he goes, well, why do we really need a remake of that song? I mean, the original is so good.
Because nobody has heard it.
Nobody's heard
one's
long
covered
time.
it either.
Everybody that I showed that song to, let them listen to it, they're like, I've never heard that song before.
Nah,
and I'm like,
and that's why there's always a remake, is to bring it to a new generation of listeners.
That's exactly
but you don't remake a song that everyone necessarily has heard. Of course, I've seen the Smithereens. I love the Smithereens, but that to me is one of their premier songs.
And it helps if the song had hit potential. It already had been, and then a new generation of
a lot of rock and rollers know that song, and they know the Smithereens, and I think they're a band that never got huge, but amongst music listeners, either whether you're into punk rock, rock and roll, or whatever, everyone appreciated them.
And you
they
respected
sort of bridged that sort of line between
to me it sounds better than the original.
Well, I
It really
appreciate
does.
that.
It really does. The
Well,
production, everything.
And
the music
see,
video
and
is,
see,
is
Bo
what really
played.
pushes it over
Well,
the edge.
actually,
Yeah.
when that song
did.
came out, it was kind of in the '80s, so you had the heavy reverb on the drums and all that
Right.
stuff. Which everyone listens to music from the '80s now, and they go, "Oh wow, that was from the '80s," because they have too much echo or reverb on the drums, for instance. That's where it really comes from. So to have a cleaner drum track really makes it better.
Yeah, we weren't trying to do the cliches. We just want, and the thing Bo tried so hard to tell this guy, he said, yeah, but think about it. You've got a woman singing this song with then a guy singing parts. He said, it almost sounds like there's like a menage a trois in there somehow.
Hey,
we
more
thought,
the merrier.
I know, bring them on in. But I still to this day am blown away why we couldn't get anything happening, because we did that. We had Bo who did the mix, and then we had Troy's expertise. We had the beautiful upstairs rooftop, beautiful day of shooting up there, having fun all around through there. We had our shots we wanted to do, and man, when you work with Troy, man, you just knock shots out, man. You don't have time to get bored because he's too busy getting stuff done.
He's efficient, except when it comes to showing up at your house on time. Then he's not so efficient.
But the thing about Troy too that's so great is he can't wait to see the final product. You don't have to wait long to
he goes home at night and stays up, and
I shoot the video so I can edit it.
Yeah,
that's the fun part to me, putting it together and seeing the final product and tweaking it. And it crashed my computer a couple of times. I had so much stuff going on that video, so many different effects and crazy stuff going on. But it turned out good. I just think it's the time we're in. It's this time we're in. There's an audience for it, but I just think that. I don't know. I don't know what it is. If you listen to rock radio now, it's either classic rock or it's some new Nickelback crap sounding band that sounds like every other damn band. There's nothing original in music anymore.
Oh no!
No, they're never.
To hear good original stuff, then you really have to start going back when the rules were just no rules and nobody gave a crap about any of that.
Everybody sounded different. All the bands sounded different.
Everybody did.
Now everybody sounds the same.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I don't agree.
Well,
but anyway,
I'm talking about the pop music.
We're just talking about what gets
I'm just talking about what you hear on the radio.
On mainstream radio.
Since music is
fits
fashionable,
a very narrow mold.
Music's fashionable, but it tends to recycle styles. Do you see a resurgence of any particular genre, be it soul, blues, rock, hard rock? I mean, you got like Bruno Mars and guys like that are really like kicking back some old school stuff. That's really pretty good.
It really is.
Yeah. What are you seeing and hearing right now that's got you excited?
Oh man, well, the group I'm playing with, Mojo Assassins. We're just
I want to talk about Ronnie and Tony and those guys, because you guys are a phenomenal band. I've seen you several times, and
it's that blues.
Two of the best musicians in Waco.
Yeah, two of the best, no doubt.
Well, that's Ronnie and Tony, that's for sure. Hey man, let me tell you that just to me, when you start combining an influence like a blues influence with any kind of music, I think it gets better. I think it gets earthier. I think that it gets down to closer to things people relate to from their range of emotions. That is more what you experience. The joy you experience from life, the bittersweet, the pain. You sing about all that stuff and you feel better, and that's kind of what I'm enjoying. I like to kind of strip it back to what really hits you in the gut. It's not a lot of fluffy stuff anymore.
And I think you're on every time I've seen you. I mean, I've seen you like half a dozen times, but you guys and Tony's vocals are so killer, and
his
such a
best voice
drummer, and I wish there was really a bigger audience for that, because you guys are on every night, and you got a good mix of original stuff and great classic songs. I love poke salad, Andy. Whenever you guys say that.
Yeah. Well, we got to stay at it. We're just going to have to be relentless. We've just got to stay at it. Is what we've got to do, because now the great stuff's still out there. It's just finding it, and whether or not it's going to be successful. A lot of people at this point, they're more concerned about just having it heard. It's not about something being huge anymore. It's just find an audience.
What's really good these days is people can hear it all over the world. The internet. The internet makes everything. The world's so small now, and you get it out there on YouTube, and people can see it all over the world. And this particular time in history is great when it comes to that. But the other problem is there's so much to see and there's so much to hear. You can't hear it all.
You got to wade through an awful lot of stuff.
You got to wade through all the bullshit to find the good stuff.
Yeah. And you really kind of get a sense of what is, the things that get all of the likes and the things that get all the views and stuff. When you look and see kind of what is kind of breaking through these days, man, it's some really different stuff, man. Because they have found enough of an audience to where it makes people with some money go, you know what, I think this could work on a bigger level than what they had. But you still have to break a lot of ground on your own before anybody's going to want to try to help you.
What is your opinion on the record industry these days?
Oh, like what industry is my opinion on it. If you make it and you build it yourself and you make it profitable, then somebody who is a lot further down the road in a bigger company than what you have is going to want to come along and try to help you make it bigger and to take a piece of it. And, that's all it is now.
Yeah.
You can do as much as you want to do yourself. I mean, as much as your own resources can let you do. So like with us, Troy, I mean, you helped out and you put in time to make sure there was a visual on some stuff that we did. And we used the studio to do all our own stuff and not have to spend money there. That would be huge amounts of money to actually get some product. Now it really comes down to some promotion. Where can you spend money wisely to help promote what you got?
That's exactly right.
Why do you think the Waco music scene has never really flourished and become something bigger than it really is?
Yeah, Waco, it seems to me, since I've been in Waco a little over 20 years, and there's always been a very small music scene.
You've got some guys in town that are legendary, but maybe they're a little long in the tooth and stuff like that. But, Billy Joe Shaver lives here. Mm-hmm. And he's got a new album, and it's got, raving reviews. And then you've got guys like, Classy Blue and people like that, legendary.
Some real legends, man.
You have some legends in Waco, but as far as like the Waco music scene to go see bands, a club will open up, and then it closes down 6 months later. And then you got another club that opens up, and then it closes down 6 months.
We're gonna see significant changes in all that here. The world is catching up to Waco, and things kind of revolve around where the money is and all that, and influences. Waco's always had the Baylor influence, and now huge things are happening with Baylor, which is promoting growth in Waco and development. We're going to have more development of venues and places for
downtown scene is really starting to pick up.
You can see the beginnings of it. You can see that it's going somewhere.
It seems like there's more clubs and bars now to play at than there has been in a long time.
I bet you in 10 years you're not even going to recognize what's going on. The way they're going to build up around the river, the way it's going to all connect with downtown and the river, and oh man,
I think guys like Wade Bowen still keep it close to home, and national acts like that really help Waco.
And that's the thing. I mean, our musicians in our area, a caliber of players, there has never been any doubt there that on how good they are, because man, they've been going to Nashville and heading to New York and LA and everywhere. I mean, there's people everywhere that have gotten into lots of really great professional positions as players.
A cat without hitting a great guitar player in Waco, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, and a lot of people, if you just weren't a musician and knew the players, you wouldn't really know, because it's not like they become household names, but we just know that they've gotten their asses out, they've gotten good work, they get into scenarios where they're into production and studios and live gigs. We've had so many people go out to Nashville and be successful as players, you know. It's just been amazing.
Let's get nerdy for the musicians in the audience. What is your rig, and what would you like to have if money was no object?
All the guitar. Oh man, I'd go crazy with guitars.
Keith Richards' guitar collection.
We'd go nuts with guitars, baby. You know, I wouldn't need as many amps, but guitars I would need tons of. But I do want to tell you about what I'm playing now, because that's always a tone quest, is everybody's road, you know, that they're on.
Yeah. You're
always hearing things and the sound in your head and what you want to hear. I've had this 68 Bassman cabinet, and you probably remember it at the studio.
Guitar.
Remember, it always would just sit right there as you'd come in the door, and it was all beat to shit.
Yeah.
212s.
Oh, 212?
Yeah, beat to shit. Well, I've been working with a guy who does a lot of this work with an amp company out of Kempner, Texas, called Kendrick, and they make hand-wired, point-to-point, beautiful, wonderful tube amps, and they can restore or build or do any kind of a cab for you that you'd want. So anyway, I started doing work for my friend Rick Turnpaw, and he said, "Well, man, let's get your cab fixed back up, so we can get all the original Tolex, we can get the grill cloth and everything." Really? And so we did. We built a new soundboard out of solid wood rather than particle board, and man, he helped me and just did tremendous work. Got a couple of selections for it, and I'm going to have it back in 100% pristine shape by this weekend, but I've already got to play it since he started getting the work done, and it's just amazing. So now the amp that complements this, I've been using it here for about the last month, and what it is, it's a one-off that the guy who builds all their amps. So you have a guy named Gerald Weber who designs the amps for Kendrick, and then you have the guy that builds them, and his name is Johnny Poe. Well, Johnny's a guitarist, and for himself, he built a one-off of it's a replica of a 45-watt Marshall Plexi. No master volume, but he had a little twist to it all. He put in a boost circuit that is activated by foot switch, pre-EQ section, that's a JCM 800 boost. Right. It's like hitting that in. And wow, let me tell you, it is just unreal. And that combined with, I'm a real single coil guy. I love Strats with, I really like the Texas Specials. I've got that. You have a Reverend guitar. I have a Reverend called a Jetstream that has 3 single coils and a 5-way switch.
P90s in them.
P90s, yeah, love those. And I picked up a replica of the old Gibson ES390. It's also got soap bars. It's got black soap bars, and it's put out by Epiphone. And let me tell you, man, it's just an amazing guitar. It's got that solid center block, and I find that all my pedals seem to play nicer with single coil guitars than with humbuckers.
Really?
And humbuckers, you have to pick and choose, I guess, your effects a little bit more carefully because they load up a little bit easier.
You got to dial off on the volume a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. And with single coils, it seems like everything just takes the tone and just makes it go wah. Whereas you get the output of a humbucker and things tend to clamp down. And I like things to kind of want to push it forward, and that's kind of why I'm using what I'm using.
Do you practice every day? Do you sit down with your guitar every day? I mean, how often do you practice?
I do practice.
Do you need to practice? Does it come naturally
No,
now?
I want to practice every day, but I'm not always practicing on the same guitars. I play acoustic guitar. I play fingerstyle maybe part of my day because I'm trying to learn how to do that better. My son Nathan, who's 26, is big off into that, and he's got a beautiful Taylor guitar, and I've got a Taylor, and he starts showing me things he's working on. So I'll spend part of my day working on my fingerstyle chops, and then I'll grab my amp and I'll grab whatever guitar is handy, and I'll start playing. But I got to play every day. I really do. Yeah. I just have to.
Because it's just in you. You just have to do it. Not because you need to, because you want to.
I want to. I want to feel the tones. I want to hear them. I'm looking to get inspired by something that's going to be the next tune I'm going to write. It's going to give me the next line's just going to come out just like I'm just slicing a knife through butter. You know, some line's going to come out either musically or I'm going to think something lyrically. And I'm going to go, God, okay, now I'm going to follow this to where it's going to lead. And until then, if all I'm doing is just stuff to kind of perfect tone and fingering, that's great. But things always are coming out. And, we wrote that Mojo Assassin record last year in a couple of months' time. And for me, I contributed 5 songs, and Tony contributed 5. And then the 3 of us, Ronnie and Tony and I, collectively arranged it and made it work like we do, playing it live in the studio.
Will we see another Mojo Assassin CD?
Oh, yeah, we sure will. I'm sure we're going to go to work on that within the next coming weeks.
Well,
but
awesome.
It makes me write. It makes me write, forces me to write, and I like to be pushed like that.
You need to. Well, it's been great taking this time together, Dave.
Hey, it has. Knowing all this.
We really appreciate you.
We're telling stories, drinking beer, thinking about the barbecue we're going to eat when we say it's a wrap. And it's fun, man.
We got some of Dave's famous ribs.
Yeah.
And sausage. And slaw.
Oh,
and
boy.
Beans. Everything. And we're going to chow. And
we want to thank you for being here.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Dave.
Mojo Assassins are kicking ass. We'll put links to everything at the bottom below the on the YouTube video. We'll put the links to the music videos you got, your Facebook page, any other links that will lead to the Mojo Assassins and you.
Great. I'd love for people to hear some of the work with Deborah, and we'll just hit them up. Let them if they haven't really grasped the amount of time that's gone into all this, we'll hook them up with some stuff. And I appreciate you opening up a venue for that.
Great time, Dave.
This was fun.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Well, see you next time in the shed.
In the shed.
In the shed.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Go.